We are amazing creatures, human beings. Amazing. Born with the ability to stare truth square in its face and not see a dang thing. Our presence has graced the face of the earth for at least 3.5 million years. Yet just 500 short years ago, we still thought it was flat. And just 100 short years ago, we still didn't think we could ever get off the ground and fly. Which begs the question, Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, just what timeless truths are we still missing? Well, I think I know what at least one of them is, and I think you know it too. In fact, we've all poked fun at it without ever realizing the magnitude of our oversight. How many of you have heard the expression, be careful of what you wish for because you just might get it? Hands? You've all heard it. Now, how many of you also believe it's true to at least some degree? Be honest. Okay then. How many of you have therefore given considerable time, energy, or thought to figuring out just how or why it could be true? Fortunately, having a mother who's always inspired me to be a big-time dreamer, I have thought about it. And I've come to the conclusion that there is indeed a principle at play in the universe that turns wishes into reality. It's the exact same principle that powers positive thinking, and it's the very same principle that explains why visualizing is an exercise practiced around the world. It's even encouraged in our basic Toastmasters manual. In 3 simple words, that principle is this: thoughts become things. And I don't mean it figuratively, I mean it literally. Thoughts become things. Not sometimes, but all of the time. And not just our positive thoughts, but the other ones too. Because it's an immutable law, as rigid and predictable as gravity. Now, I've known about this principle my entire adult life. And actually, while I'm not really all that old, I've had some amazing experiences with it. My favorite of which began just 2 years after I graduated from college. I was working for Price Waterhouse, and it took me 2 years with PW to finally get myself in a position where I could begin thinking about thriving in the real world instead of just surviving. And one of the things I did to help me think thoughts about thriving in the real world was I created a little scrapbook. And in this scrapbook, I put pictures I had taken from magazines of things that I wanted, like a nice watch, a fancy car, a condo, a house. And I also put in this scrapbook pictures of foreign destinations that one day I'd like to visit. London, Paris, Hong Kong, Tokyo. And I used this scrapbook to help me visualize every conceivable detail of my dreamed of life. Well, I did this visualizing experiment every single day for a couple of weeks, and nothing seemed to happen. After just a couple of months, every single day, nothing seemed to happen. In fact, it was almost a full year later when one day I went to work, as I always did, and for the first time learned that Price Waterhouse every year sends a few select people overseas on foreign assignments. 6 weeks later, I was living in sunny Saudi Arabia. Which to a couple of you here might not sound like a dream come true. And I have to admit, I had not spent any time visualizing myself living in the Middle East. Never even heard of Riyadh 6 weeks prior to making it my home. But I had been visualizing my dreamed of life, and I don't think anything else could have taken me there quicker at that point in my life than this 18-month tour of duty to Saudi Arabia. Because while I was there, I earned a very considerable hardship bonus, and I accrued 3 months paid time off to go wherever and whenever I wanted. And during those 3 months, I went to every city and country on God's green earth that I had ever dreamed of going, throughout Africa, Asia, the Far East, the South Seas. And my heart nearly missed a beat. One morning, having breakfast at the Regent Hotel in Kowloon, Hong Kong, when I looked up from over my coffee through the 2-story plate glass wall that surrounded me and saw the exact same view of Hong Kong Island that I had cut and pasted into my little scrapbook just 2 years earlier. I could go on and on, too, sharing with you more fantastic stories and some really sad ones, all illustrating how my thoughts have become the things and events of my life. But you know who else could do that, don't you? Every single one of you here, because it is an immutable law that governs all of our lives, whether we know about it or not. To illustrate, what happens when someone throws a ball into the air? Comes back down. Why? Because it has to. It's the law. Now, does it matter who threw that ball? How old they are, how young they are, where they went to school, if they went to school. Does it even matter whether or not they know about the principles of physics and gravity for that ball to have to come back down to earth? Nothing matters once they throw that ball, because as it leaves their fingertips, the universe and its principles take over. And that's the exact same thing that happens once you choose your thoughts. So choose them wisely. Thoughts become things, whether you're visualizing or just daydreaming, thinking the good thoughts or worrying on your way to work. Recognize this principle. Understand its existence in your life, because then you can begin using it, deliberately turning your wishes into reality and living the life of your dreams. Because whatever it is that you most want truly lies only a thought away. Madam Contest Master.